voice on it. But guess what? I'm a newbie. And so I ended up filming every single thing in slow motion. And so now, hence why you have this. So I'll be walking you through kind of my weekend at the Arnold a couple weeks ago. And so I had a good content there to just show you kind of what the day is like to work for a company and be a part of the weekend and have a lot of people come to see it and kind of enjoy the experience with you. So we're starting the day out here. When I travel, I bring every single thing with me. All my Evogen supplements, my salt packet, my onion powder, garlic powder, cinnamon, protein. And so that's a large reason why I oftentimes travel on certain companies where I can get free luggage, because I'll end up checking a bag. That way I don't have to get to the state and rebuy every single thing. So now when I do travel, I do bring my cooking tools with me. I have my little skillet on the side here, and here you can see my blueberries, eggs, egg whites, all that good stuff. I use a lot of disposable cups while I'm in there. I'll keep doing that. I'll order my waters while I'm there. I'll order anything that's kind of pretty perishable, that's not super expensive. I'll reorder that when I get to the location. So with my cup of water, I make my oats in the room. I'll boil the water, have my oatmeal in the cup or the bowl, and then I'll pour the water over top, and then I will take a extra bowl that I get, because I do buy those, and I put that on top. And that's how I make the oatmeal. It just kind of goes from the boiling water and the steam. It goes together. I pull that off. I throw my freshly made eggs in the mix, throw my fruit in the mix, and then I have breakfast for the day. And once that's complete, we're headed to the Expo. So this is a pretty chill day coming in. You can see there's a little bit less people. And so I was kind of trying to move through. I have my meal in hand, camera set on the side, and my friend helping me out and filming for me. But of course, anywhere I go, I make sure that I'm prepared. I have my badge, everything I need for work, my food with me, everything with me. So you see how it works at these expos. This is kind of our back room where we host all of our stuff. Then you got me and our limited edition signage for our new Rosé, Amino Kim EVP and EVP 3D. So make sure you get that. It's delicious. It tastes just like rosé, but without the liquor. So today I wanted to debut my Space Buns. Switching to our old school Evogen edition shirt. It's in purple here. And one of the coolest things about working for such an amazing company who really cares about the athletes and highlights the athletes is I get to see my big picture, and we get to go to the expos and do things like that. So for most who don't know, this was actually my second expo ever. Even though I've been competing for 18 years, I never was with a supplement company. So, well, at least a supplement company that would be having booths at the larger shows. So this is the first time doing that, which I was super excited about. Let's see my pictures. So in these big weekends, including Olympia weekend and Arnold weekend, I always shoot with my company that does my belts. And I'm sponsored by as well. We do a photo shoot for Chic Sports Incorporated. And so we get in there, we shoot all the marketing materials, and this tends to happen on any big show weekend. So even though I wasn't competing in the Arnold, I still was able to go ahead and get my shoot in. Since I was sick after Olympia, I missed my shoot that day. So we redid it today. So that's what you're watching here. And pretty much we just walk from one venue to the next. I coordinate with the photographer on top of my schedule, on top of my training, on top of my meals, and just make sure that I'm able to get everywhere that I need to be when I need to be there. So that's a really important part of having sponsors and making sure that you're showing up for them like they show up for you. So I also like photo shoots sometimes when they're really quick, which these shoots are really, 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 really quick. So that's the fun part about the weekend. But as long as you strategize and plan your days really well, it makes everything flow really well. So, and of course, a large part about these weekends are meeting such amazing people like you see here. I had a whole bunch of people on video, but like I said, as you can tell, it's a little bit in slow-mo. So it's nice to get to meet new people. And that's what these weekends are really about, are just getting to meet people who follow you on Instagram, people who've seen you from Survivor, people who've seen you from all these different places, and you pull them all together. So that's one of my favorite parts about this weekend. Now, my absolute top-notch necessity is the hotel gym. So when I walked in, I surveyed the scene first, see what all we have going on, what the lighting looks like, because I knew I wanted to film for y'all. So that's what we're doing here. I scanned through. I knew we were going to have a lot of space. I was working back in glutes this day, and I do abs every time that I train. So I made sure that I was able to have everything that I need so I was able to keep the same quality of workouts throughout this entire time. So a lot of times when people travel, it's a lot of excuses that pop up of why they can't do A, can't do D, can't stay on my meal plan, can't do my training. All this is possible. Like, even if this gym wasn't as good as it is, I've worked out in gyms that just had dumbbells. As long as you know what you're doing and you're organized and you're coordinated, you're going to be able to really get the most bang for your buck in every situation that you do. And the intensity often comes from your mind and what you're able to do more than anything than that. So here we're going to do a little bit of glute hip thrust. I have to work my way into this leg extension machine. Now, most hotel gyms don't actually have leg extension machines, so I was very excited about that, to be able to get a hip thrust variation in. Of course, I got to check to see where the camera is. Hey, y'all. So this motion here, I actually really, really liked it. I don't do these often because I usually have specific hip thrust machines, so it's not necessary. But here it was cool to just try this out. I've seen this version a lot on Instagram, and I actually really do like it. It works really well for my glutes. So I'll do a few reps here. Usually when I do glutes, I do superset. I pretty much superset any routine that you ever see me do. It's kind of rare that I don't. In the cases that I don't, it's going to be a movement that is extremely intense that will take everything you have on that motion. So here, do a little hold at the top, finding that squeeze. And then sometimes, depending on my glutes, because I don't want them to grow, I just want them to stay defined and round and bubbly, but not too round where it goes into another category. And I really want to focus on it maintaining kind of a streamlined athletic look through my backside, because my glutes can kind of get overpowering and go into their own little world. So that's a reason why we strategize when I train glutes, when I don't train glutes, how I'm training glutes, anything like that. So I keep the weight pretty light 24/7 year-round if I am training glutes. So you'll see me do probably about 25 reps here. I'll throw in some iso holds just for giggles and to switch it up a little bit and just really find that activation and making sure that I'm feeling everything where I want to feel it. So we're fasting through here, getting all the rep range. And honestly, even though I did speed this up, this is pretty much the pace at which I go when it comes to glutes. I'll speed up just a little bit, just depending on what the time frame is, but this is pretty much kind of how I do it. So after this movement, I will superset straight over to the Bosu ball. And then the key thing is sliding out of this. That was interesting. So I kind of slide out and fall on the ground and then get back up, and that's how I get out. So everybody has their methods. That's the way that I found was the fastest and the best. Okay? So go to our Bosu ball. I'm going to do a mix of like a Frogger push-out variation. So usually I'll leave it to where my hips just kind of fall out to the side and get that stretch through the pelvis. And I get really, really deep under my lower glutes. But here I want to chest it out and kind of go up first in a standard hip thrust. But not even just a standard hip thrust. It's a close foot hip thrust. So you see a lot of people do either hip width or shoulder width hip thrust. I find that it's fun to kind of switch that variation. If you are going to open up the knees, keep those feet super tight together. Thrust up first and then you open. So you're kind of opening after you're already at the top of the hip thrust motion. Now, if I didn't have long sleeves on, I would put like a towel or something down to kind of like keep me from getting MRSA. So, if you don't want MRSA, protect yourself and wipe everything down. But the key thing here, again, another 25 reps, no less than 20 reps for me. And I pretty much, same, year round. Really feeling that movement, engaging all the way at the top of the motion, and keeping everything nice and lifted. Now, with this workout, I had to plan this around the rest of my day. So I already knew that it was going to be a long day. So after I got up early, worked the booth for about 4 or 5 hours, Once I left there, I did the shoot, and then I came to the gym. This was probably about like 7 p.m. at night. So I knew that the benefit to working out late at night and when your schedule is completely done is you have nowhere to rush to. So while everybody else was at the show, I was in here getting my workout done. There was only 2 people in it that ever came in at the entire time. So to have a gym to myself on a weekend as big as that is second to none. So I was able to get my filming done, get my full workout done, take my time, and just enjoy my workout. Because a lot of things about the workout is just really my time. My time to just sit with myself, sit with my goals, and make sure that I'm giving everything that I do 150%. So that's the really important part. And one thing that I've had to navigate since I started filming more almost a year ago, and this YouTube didn't start until January, as y'all know. So it's been interesting trying to film more, but still maintain that space where this is my time. And oftentimes people get caught up in oversharing. And so I found that I've gotten a great balance of being able to share with everybody, but still not have it take away from my workout time and not take away from my mental space. So that can be hard for a lot of people, especially if you're not flashy or don't really care about having attention or not. It can be harder for your low-key people to kind of jump into this realm. But I'm glad I've done it. Everybody seems to be super appreciative, and that makes me more able to embrace this kind of social media world that I could care a little bit less about. But I will say the benefit is being able to help other people find these movements while they're at these hotel gyms. So with these band and kickbacks, back to the workout, I strap this on. You can get a tighter band. Like I said, I'm not trying to get too much resistance on my glutes. So a decent enough band where I'm able to feel it, but it's not killing me, is going to be the best. So I'll superset these as well. So that the first 2 exercises were double, and then I'll do unilateral glutes. So people always ask, like, why unilateral movements? For someone like me who has scoliosis and lordosis, it's very important that I maintain balance, especially for my category. And so beyond just the stage and aesthetics, functionality-wise, you don't want to be imbalanced. Imbalances create even more issues. It creates pain, and it just creates just what could be literally a living, walking hell. So you don't want that. And if you're able to strengthen everything, whether it's 1 week glute, 1 week hip, 1 week lat, all of that helps you back to a steady, nice equilibrium within your body. And that's what I'm always looking for. So I'll do each glute separately to make sure that I'm actually activating each glute and that both of them are working equally. And I'm able to see where the weaknesses are, so I'm able to correct and move from there. So I'll go straight from there into my unilateral back exercises. So this workout, I will say on my Saturdays, tends to be a little bit longer. I can mostly get every single thing done within an hour and 10 minutes tops. So that's kind of your time frame if you're going to run through these workouts. It should not take you 3 hours. You should be hitting the movement, resting, watching it on your watch, and then moving from there. So if you do notice, I have my one watch on my left. I have another watch on my right. The watch on my right is for just keeping my time. So when I'm very adamant about my rest time, I'm making sure that I know if I'm resting a minute, once that watch hits 59 seconds, I'm already getting ready to start the movement instead of lollygagging and trying to figure out, hey, do I feel like doing this next rep? Like, nah, go ahead and get ready. So that's kind of the reason I wear the 2 watches. My other watch keeps my calorie count. Whether people think it's like accurate or not, that's neither here nor there. I like to use it as an objective form of saying like, all right, I burned, according to this watch, 600 calories this day. And then I'll look to continue to burn that same amount throughout the week. So I'm making sure that my expenditure is somewhat similar day to day. So first you see here we did the kneeling 1-arm lat pull-ups. I called it a pull-up. Y'all know what I meant. Pull. Anyway, so I did that part kneeling on the ground. Now, when it comes to hotel gyms, most of the good ones will at least have 1 cable. So that way, all you have to do is just situate your body to where you're activating the muscle differently So that way you're getting different pieces of your workout. So I went from kneeling, and now I'm kind of standing at a slant to where you see this one straight line from the top of the cable all the way down. Once I finish my unilateral movements, I hop into my bilateral movements. And today I wanted to throw in my pull-ups. I do pull-ups pretty much every week. It's a good staple. It keeps everything nice and together and flows really well, but it also allows me to get in touch with just my general strength, and it's able to kind of really be an objective measure of how much stronger I've gotten throughout the years. So this rep range can change depending on what fatigues and when and what order I put the pull-ups on. So for here, if this is the third exercise, it should still be pretty decent. So I personally won't go more than about 10 pull-ups. After that point, it's getting more into my biceps than anything. So I always say it's not about the number of reps, it's about the quality of them. And for me, when I'm doing my pull-ups, it's all lats with 1% bicep. So that's a key thing to call on to look for. Don't be like, oh, I only did a few pull-ups. Like, it doesn't matter if they were quality. Your body still is doing what it needs to do. So I jump up from there. I will take full rest after my pull-ups if they're unassisted. Now, if they're assisted, I will superset those or giant set those depending on kind of how I'm feeling for the weekend and time constraints as well. So I hopped over to this lat pull-down machine. Just a nice, smooth movement, keeping the traps down, abs tight, making sure the lats are engaged more than anything. Now, since there were no other variations I could physically think of in that location, I just switch this bad boy around and hit the lats from a different angle on the same machine. But they're technically both pull downs. You're just doing them a little bit differently. And so also know that the difference between a row and a pull down is oftentimes the angle at which your body is sitting. So if you're kind of rusty or like you can't find another variation, do a variation and just find a different body angle and see if that helps you. And that means in terms of whether your hips are, where your hands are demi-grip, pronated, turned out, underhand, kind of just run through all those variations if you can't figure out kind of what you want to do. Now, all the time, too, if I fully go to failure on a certain weight, I will pause and then drop the weight down so that I'm able to complete the rest of those